Both Lent and the period leading up to Lent are really an intensification of all the things that we should be doing throughout the year. Fasting, praying, reflecting on how we're living, and so on. And this intensification of our struggle is really more than just preparing for Pascha. It is an intensification of this preparation to meet God, to stand before God in judgment. And on our first Sunday in this period, we've been presented with the parable of the Pharisee and the publican. Jesus tells us of two men in the temple, one who lists his virtues, is full of pride. We may say, who is it he's worshipping? It isn't God, but himself. He's self-satisfied because he believes he has achieved enough, he's done enough. He has no need of God. But the publican, who recognizes that he is fully immersed in sin, has nothing to offer God, nothing but a plea, a single prayer for mercy and forgiveness. And Jesus tells us that it is the publican who leaves justified. It's interesting that Jesus says both men went up to pray. St. Gregory Palamas tells us that this is more than just a physical climbing of Mount Zion where the temple was built, but a lifting up into prayer. Both men intended to pray, to rise above earthly things. St. Gregory Palamas warns us that just as we go to church and should rise up and leave behind our earthly concerns, every one of us is capable instead of pulling down the church, bringing down the church to our earthly, carnal level. We must repent, leave these things behind, let our hearts rise to God in prayer. Both men went up to pray, Jesus said, but only one was justified. The Pharisee was unable to worship God because of his pride. The fathers again and again tell us that pride is satanic, but humility is the virtue of the angels. Every one of us is called to be humble ourselves before God. Well, we've had the scriptural foundation, we've got the theology. How do we do this practically in our lives? Well, when we look at the publican as he stands before God, he condemns himself. He looks at the truth of his life and he judges himself guilty. The Pharisee lacks self-awareness. He has no true reflection on who and what he is. Every one of us must put some time aside now to reflect on how we are living. Think about the people that we share our lives with. Our family, neighbours, friends, work colleagues. Think of their faces and their names, and instead of thinking of what they've said and what they've done, look carefully at the movement of our hearts. What comes to us when we think of these people? Is it compassion? Is it love? Or is there judgment, condemnation? We are to judge what we truly find there. See ourselves as we truly are. It requires self-examination. So as well as our fasting, as well as our additional prayer and struggle, let us take time to reflect, to look with honesty at our own hearts. Let us humble ourselves when we see what we find there, and let us offer that plea to God that we hear from the publican.